Is that a Stone Cold t-shirt by any chance, or is it just a skull?
It's a cricket t-shirt.
That's pretty cool. You getting your own merch done nowadays as well, or just the content?
No, they sent it to me. A company sent it to me and said, "Do you want a bunch of t-shirts?" And I said, "Yeah, sure."
Right. So the Northern Derby it is Punjab taking Rajasthan. Remember, guys, these two teams have been part of some high-scoring, heart-stopping thrillers. It has to be said. Sharjah 2020, Mumbai 2021. To preview this one with us, we have Jarrod Kimber. Sorry, Jarrod, I was just watching the new Born documentary, so I just thought of introducing you like that. But how are you, my friend? Because you have been producing some sensational content on YouTube, all right?
Yeah, I've been having some fun, making some videos. All good over here. How are you?
All well. We're just kind of floating about, but the IPL's back. And your first thoughts about this league resuming, and it's just been shoehorned in such a calendar where there's so much cricket already.
Yeah, we've already seen the first casualty of that, haven't we? The test match that didn't go ahead. Once I looked at the schedule and I saw a bunch of tests, the IPL and the World Cup back to back, I was like, well, something's going to bother something here one way or another. There's too much cricket we put into too small a space of time. As far as the IPL coming back, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, a team like Punjab they were really, really struggling. Last time we talked, KL Rahul was probably in hospital. So it's certainly a little bit different now to see some of these things. Although then again, I suppose Rajasthan were really struggling with injuries at that time too, and they still are.
Yeah, but it's safe to say that Punjab would probably move the more happier side when the stoppage happened. And like you said, the appendicitis and whatnot. Let's talk about them first, because the name going around, of course, is Nathan Ellis, who's going to be coming out. So what do you reckon about him? Is he like for Meredith and Ajay Richardson?
He's quite an interesting cricketer. He comes from New South Wales and couldn't break through, partly because he's short. I think he's about 5'10" or 5'11", which is obviously quite short for an international speed bowler these days. So, and he couldn't break through, and I think he moved to Tasmania without a job. Ended up, I think he worked as a labourer for a while before becoming a teaching assistant with kids with special needs, and couldn't even get a contract with Tasmania. And he really kept working on his pace. I don't think he's quite as quick as Meredith, although he's certainly in that ballpark. But what he is just a brilliant Yorker bowler. I don't think we've seen someone who has the ability to hit Yorkers as much as Nathan Ellis in a very long time. And he's clearly worked on this skill. So he's quick. He'll hit the block hole. He's skiddy. He's strong. Kind of, I suppose he bowls like a more accurate Tino Best, might be a way of putting it. He's a strong little guy who runs through the crease. Maybe not quite with the upper body of Tino Best, but that's the kind of guy you're looking for. So in some ways, he probably bowls a little bit like Ajay Richardson. He's just maybe not quite that level of talent, but he might be better suited to a tournament like the IPL.
Yeah, hopefully offer something else. You see what I did there. But going on, just to finish with Punjab, if you're a fan of Punjab, I don't think you really are. But if you were a fan, would you be hopeful of making a top four this time around?
If you're outside the top four, there's one spot left, isn't there? At this stage, it would take a remarkable comeback from one of the bottom four teams, I think, to be able to steal something. Rajasthan are, the closest to the top four, aren't they? And they don't have half their team. I think that if any team's going to make a run, it's going to be Punjab. And I do think that there is a possibility of doing it. But the spot that you're going up against is Mumbai. So, I know Mumbai somehow lost that game the other night. But essentially, you're in a situation where you're thinking to yourself, it's not the ideal team to be going up against at the other end of the tournament. But I still don't fully commit to the Punjab team. I've said from the start, I don't really understand their bowling. And their batting is very, very good against spin, but they don't really handle high pace. But they are the team, I think, if anyone is going to sneak into fourth place, I think it has to be them. So I don't know what percentage chance you would give them, maybe 25, 30% chance. But, that's 3 out of 10. You'd take that if you're a fan. You take that considering at one stage it looks like, they were going to finish last in this tournament. So they're certainly not in that position anymore.
Yeah, in terms of our Criclytics qualification predictor is 25%. So it kind of concurs with you in this regard. Rajasthan then next, because it's a problem of plenty that they're going to face. They've got plenty of fresh few faces who all can start, mind you. Let me just remind the viewers about some of those names. They have Evan Lewis, of course, Glenn Phillips, Tabraiz Shams, who currently is the world T20I bowler, I mean the number one, I should say, in the rankings at least. And not to forget the likes of Liam Livingstone, who's already been with them, and David Miller and Mustafizur. So there's a lot of names. But what I want to ask you, Jarrod, who plays, who does it? If you're, say, Kumar Sankara and you can have some sort of whisper to Sanju Samson's ear, what would you be telling him?
I think the problem is that you've just named 6 international players, and the problem isn't their international players, is it? The problem is their domestic players, and that's a good run of players you said there. And if you pick your 4 players in a stronger team, I think they would do really well. The problem isn't the international players. It is significantly their problem, has been for a long time, is their domestic players. And I think that actually makes choosing the international players so much harder, because how do you fit it in? They don't have a great spinner that they feel really comfortable with. So you'd say, okay, well, Shamsi has to come in. But if Shamsi comes in, you're going to weaken the batting. And Shamsi is a brilliant left-arm wrist spinner, but he can't bat. And, so that causes problems for them there. And I think that, when you look at that 6 lineup, I don't know which direction they go. I suppose they're going to have to, they're going to spend a bit more time. Again, the break did come at a good time for them. Hopefully they've had a bit of a chance to go back and have a look at some of the younger players and decide which direction to go. But they don't really have great young spin, or they don't really have great spin that they can, local spin, I should say, and they don't really have great local batters outside of Sanju Samson. So how do you cover both those problems at the same time? And that becomes the problem. I think their strength is probably that they can bat to number 8. But a lot of that batting is maybe not completely made of concrete.
So would you say that Livingston and Morris are definite starters and the next 2 spots up for grabs?
Yeah, I think they have to go with Livingston, don't they? Morris, they pay too much money not to play him.
And what about Mustafizur? Because they had this left-arm fetish. I mean, I don't want to call it a fetish, but they had Sakaria, Unadkat, and of course Mustafizur last time around. They played the trio, the holy trinity of Rajasthan Royals. Would you go in with that, or would you rest Mustafizur and probably bring in someone like Evan Lewis, who's been in the form of his life?
Look, I think they probably have to go with Mustafizur just because I think he's probably at the moment their best all-round bowler, and he's bowled even better. He's gone back to Bangladesh. Well, I thought there were really good signs with the way he bowled with Rajasthan. Since he's gone back to Bangladesh, he's bowled way better. So it would be really hard to leave him out. But, you're talking about Evan Lewis. You could talk about Glenn Phillips. You could talk about David Miller. All these guys have a position that they can fill in this team. It's really going to be interesting which way that Kumar Sangakkara and Sanju Samson and the Rajasthan, setup go for, just because it's not about how good all these individual players are. So Mustafizur could miss out, not because he's not a very good bowler in incredible form, but because they have to fit in all the other parts. And I think that is the absolute worst case scenario for Rajasthan, where they can't actually pick the players that they want just because the local players are just not where they need them to be at the moment.
Fair thoughts, that. Let's see if you can answer this question with the fans, because it's a goodie bag question for the fans. You can take part 2. And the question for today we're asking is, which bowler will have the best economy by the end of this match? You can let us know in the comments below. Jarrod named a few bowlers there. Whether they'll play, whether they won't, that's the mystery first and foremost that you will have to solve. And then you can let us know as you watch this video, probably when it comes up. Right. Let's go to the predictions then, because this is where the robot, of course, gets head-to-head with Jarrod. The first prediction that the robot is making in this one, in terms of batsmen, is going for Mayank Agarwal to score the most runs. Do you agree with him or her?
No, I agree with the gender-neutral robot. I'm not sure. I think that's a good call. I think I basically had 2 players in my top list. The only thing with Agarwal is I think he's a brilliant player of spin. Not sure how much Rajasthan will bowl to him. So that's the only thing that had me holding back a little bit. Whereas I've gone with KL Rahul just because I think that he is a much better all-round batter, and there might be a bit more seam on offer. And also he's the most consistent T20 scorer that I've ever seen. So I think I'll go with him.
Okay, KL it is. Bowlers next, because we'll motor on to the prediction number 2, and it is going for Mustafizur. Funnily enough, we spoke about him. 2 to 3 wickets is what it reckons that Mustafizur could bag. Do you concur? Do you see someone else? Maybe a Shami, a Bishnoi. There are quite a few options.
Yeah, look, obviously the Fierce is an incredible player. I'm not sure he's back to his old wicket taking. I know he did against Rajasthan. I still think he's probably better as a defensive bowler the way he's currently bowling. So I'm going to skip him. I'm going to go with Ravi Bishnoi. And the reason I'm going to go with Bishnoi is because Rajasthan, no matter what of the 38 players they have available to them, don't really have that many players with good records against wrist spin. So I'm going to go with Bishnoi because I think he might be able to take a couple of wickets against them.
Okay, cool. And finally, winner time, because let me just throw this in for you as well, because the last time you were with us in cricket.com, it was neck and neck between you and the robot, funnily enough. It was 9-8 in terms of head-to-head, is what my producer tells me. 9 in the favor of you and 8 the robot, so it needs to play catch up, I guess. So 51% is what it's reckoning for a Punjab win compared to Rajasthan's 49. That seems definitely tight. Will it be that tight, and who do you think you're going to go for?
Look, it's an incredible game because of what we were talking about before. I mean, you talked about, Punjab's ability to make the finals, but both of these teams, this is a must-win game. It's not quite a double point game because that would probably be the game against Mumbai. But if you can beat the other team that's most likely to, slip into fourth place as well, it's a huge game. I just think that, we don't really know what Rajasthan's lineup is going to be. My guess is that while the Rajasthan team has spent a lot more time thinking about it than we have, I feel they would be in a similar position. If that's the case, I just think Punjab is a better team when everything is firing, considering the injuries that Rajasthan still have. And so, and also Josh Butler not being around. So I think with all that, I just think Punjab's better. So you've got them at 51%. I probably have them as a 55 to 57% chance of winning this game.
Super. Let's see how that plays out. And finally, before we let you go, it's a quiz question that we ask our guests. And this time it's match related. And even the viewers watching this can participate. Basically, I want to know 4 players who played for both these franchises in the past, which is Punjab and Rajasthan. So name any 4 players who've played for these two franchises in IPL history.
Well, David Miller must have played for them both.
Right, that's one.
I go with him.
Yep.
Has Glenn Maxwell ever played with Rajasthan? I don't think he has he? I'm trying to think of all the Punjab players over the years. You really got me stumped.
It's not that blatantly obvious, is it? I mean, I think even the viewers are scratching their head, just probably try to Google the answers right now. But
Miller feels really obvious because he played for a long time. I'm trying to think of other players who played for Punjab for a long time who might have crossed over, and then Rajasthan. Ben Stokes didn't come from there, did he? No, I don't have a great answer for that. I mean, the Rajasthan team's quite young as well, especially the Indian players. Evan Lewis played for Mumbai, didn't he? I don't think he went via Punjab, unless I'm misremembering.
I can give you a clue. So two of the names that I have here are Australian pacers who played for their country and played for both these franchises and had a big role to play as well.
Oh, Australian pacers. It's not Coulter Nile. No, it's not Coulter Nile. He played for Mumbai. Australian pacers. Did Jimmy Faulkner play for both of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got one. Okay.
Jeez. Yeah. Jimmy Faulkner, who feels like he's the weirdest question. At one stage, he was almost the best T20 player in the world. And then by the end, was being let go by his Big Bash team. What a remarkable story that Jimmy Faulkner's had. Another Australian pacer. I can't. Oh, Andrew Tye. Did Andrew Tye play for both of them? There we go. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so I got 3. Who's the 4th one? I mean,
there are plenty more, but the ones which stand out is Mohammad Kaif way back in the day, and there was also, of course, Warren Aaron more recently. Karan Nair as well, but I don't think he's got a game for Punjab yet, so I don't think I can confirm on that. But well done. 3 out of 4, 75%. We'll take that all day.
All I needed was you walking me through it.
Jarrod, it's been fun, so we'll catch you post-match after the Punjab Rajasthan game, which is the Northern Derby. But thank you so much again for your time. We'll see you soon.
No problems. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Take care.